In a small, bustling town where the air was always filled with the smell of oil and grease, there lived a young woman named Maya. She wasn't like most girls her age. Instead of spending time shopping or hanging out at coffee shops, Maya spent her days in her father's auto repair shop. The shop was nothing fancy, a tiny garage tucked away on the outskirts of town. But it was a place she called home. Her father, Mr. Johnson, was a skilled mechanic who had taught Maya everything he knew about fixing cars. From tightening bolts to diagnosing engine problems, Maya had become his right-hand helper over the years. But Maya wasn't just good at mechanics. She was exceptional. What no one realized, however, was that her talent went far beyond what anyone could imagine. It was something she kept hidden, even from her own father. And soon, this secret would change everything. One sunny Tuesday morning, as Maya wiped her hands on an old rag after finishing up a routine oil change, a sleek black sports car pulled into the driveway of the workshop. The car gleamed under the sunlight, its polished surface reflecting the curious stares of passers-by. Out stepped a tall man wearing an expensive suit and shiny leather shoes. His name was Mr. Grayson, and he was known throughout the town as one of the wealthiest and most arrogant businessmen around. Grayson owned the largest car dealership in the city, selling luxury vehicles to the elite. He rarely visited places like Mr. Johnson's humble garage unless it served some purpose for him. Today, however, he came with a challenge, one that would shake the foundation of everyone's expectations. "Is this the best mechanic in town?" Grayson asked loudly, glancing around the cluttered workshop with a smirk. His tone dripped with sarcasm, and his eyes landed on Maya, who stood quietly beside her father. "What's this, a girl working on cars? Don't tell me she's the expert here." Mr. Johnson clenched his fist but said nothing. He knew Grayson's type, rich, entitled, and dismissive of anyone who didn't fit his narrow view of success. Maya, on the other hand, remained calm. She looked Grayson straight in the eye and replied firmly, "Yes, I work here, and yes, I can fix your car, if you let me." Grayson chuckled, clearly amused by her confidence. "Fine," he said, tossing the car keys onto the counter. "Let's see what you're made of. This engine is impossible to fix. It's stumped every mechanic I've taken it to so far. But hey, maybe the daughter of a mechanic has some magic. Touch." The room fell silent. Everyone present knew how difficult Grayson's cars were to repair. They weren't ordinary vehicles. They were high-tech machines designed for speed and precision. Fixing them required expertise far beyond what most people possessed. Yet Maya didn't flinch. She picked up the keys, walked over to the car, and began inspecting the engine without hesitation. As she leaned over the hood, Grayson turned to Mr. Johnson and sneered, "You really think she can handle this? Look at her. She doesn't even look strong enough to lift a wrench." Mr. Johnson wanted to defend his daughter, but Maya beat him to it. Without looking up from the engine, she said coolly, "Strength isn't measured by how loud someone talks or how shiny their shoes are. Let my work speak for itself." Her words silenced Grayson, though only temporarily. He crossed his arms and leaned against the wall, watching intently as Maya worked. Little did he know, this decision to challenge her would lead to something far greater than he ever anticipated. Over the next few hours, Maya immersed herself in the task. She opened the hood and began examining the engine carefully. To anyone else, it might have looked like a jumbled mess of wires, pipes, and metal parts. But to Maya, it was like reading a book. Each component told a story, and she listened closely to understand what the car needed. While others relied on manuals and diagnostic tools, Maya trusted her instincts. She had a gift, a rare ability that set her apart from everyone else. Though she hadn't told anyone yet, Maya could hear things others couldn't. When she pressed her ear close to the engine, she didn't just hear random noises. She heard patterns, rhythms, and melodies. It was almost like music, guiding her toward solutions that others couldn't find. This unique talent had been with her since childhood. As a little girl, she'd often sit near her father while he worked, listening to the sounds of engines humming and gears turning. Over time, she learned to interpret those sounds, understanding what each noise meant. By the time she was a teenager, she could diagnose problems faster than any seasoned mechanic. But Maya never spoke about her gift openly. In a world where people judged her based on her appearance and background, she feared being labeled as strange or different. So she kept it to herself, using it quietly whenever she worked on cars. As the day wore on, more and more people gathered outside the workshop, eager to see if Maya would succeed or fail. Some came out of curiosity, others out of skepticism. Many whispered among themselves, doubting whether a young woman like her could truly fix such a complicated engine. "She won't last long," one man muttered. "These fancy cars are too advanced for amateurs," another chimed in. "I bet Grayson will leave laughing once she gives up." But Maya blocked out their voices. She focused entirely on the task at hand, moving methodically through each step. Piece by piece, she dismantled the engine, searching for the source of the problem. Hours passed, and still she worked tirelessly, her determination unwavering. By late afternoon, even Grayson seemed intrigued. He had expected her to give up within minutes, but instead she showed no signs of stopping. "Not bad," he admitted grudgingly, though his tone remained skeptical. "Still, we'll see if she actually fixes it." Maya ignored him, knowing that proving herself wasn't about winning arguments, it was about delivering results. Deep down, she felt confident. She could sense that she was getting closer to solving the mystery of the engine. And when she finally found the root cause, a tiny, almost invisible crack in a crucial component, she knew she was moments away from completing the impossible. As the sun began to set, casting golden rays across the workshop, Maya tightened the last bolt and stepped back. She took a deep breath, wiped her hands on her overalls, and turned to face Grayson. "It's ready," she said simply. Grayson raised an eyebrow, clearly unconvinced. "We'll see about that." He walked over to the driver's seat, inserted the key, and turned the ignition. For a brief moment, nothing happened. Then suddenly, the engine roared to life, smoother and quieter than it had ever sounded before. The crowd erupted into cheers, clapping and shouting in amazement. Even Grayson couldn't hide his shock. How did you do it?" he stammered, staring at Maya in disbelief. She smiled faintly. "I listened to what the engine needed." Her answer left everyone speechless. No one understood exactly what she meant, not yet, but they all knew one thing for certain. Maya had accomplished the impossible, and this was only the beginning of her journey. The next morning, the small town buzzed with excitement. News of Maya's incredible feat had spread like wildfire. People who had doubted her skills now spoke of her with awe and admiration. Even those who hadn't witnessed the event firsthand couldn't stop talking about how a young mechanic's daughter had fixed an engine that had baffled experts for weeks. Grayson, however, wasn't ready to let go of his skepticism just yet. Though he had been visibly impressed by Maya's work, he still found it hard to believe that someone so young, and from such humble beginnings, could possess such extraordinary talent. Determined to uncover the truth behind her success, he decided to pay another visit to Mr. Johnson's workshop. When Grayson arrived, the garage was already bustling with activity. Word of Maya's achievement had attracted curious onlookers, local mechanics, and even reporters eager to document her story. Maya stood at the center of it all, calmly answering questions while continuing to tinker with another car. Despite the attention, she remained unfazed, focusing on her work as if nothing unusual had happened. Grayson pushed through the crowd, his expensive suit standing out sharply against the grease-stained overalls of the other mechanics. He approached Maya and demanded, "I need to know how you did it. That engine was beyond repair, or so I thought. What's your secret?" Maya paused what she was doing and looked up at him. For a moment, she debated whether to reveal the truth. She had kept her gift hidden for years, fearing judgment and ridicule. But something in Grayson's tone, a mix of curiosity and genuine respect, made her reconsider. Taking a deep breath, she decided to share her story. "I've always been able to hear things others can't," Maya began softly. Her voice carried across the workshop, silencing the chatter around her. Everyone turned to listen, their eyes wide with anticipation. "When I was little, I used to sit near my dad while he worked on cars. I loved listening to the sounds they made, the hum of the engine, the clicks of the gears turning. To me, it wasn't just noise, it was music. She paused, glancing at her father, who stood nearby, nodding encouragingly. As I grew older, I realized that each sound meant something specific. A rattling noise might indicate loose bolts. A high-pitched whine could signal a problem with the transmission. Over time, I learned to understand these patterns, almost like reading a language. Grayson frowned, trying to process what she was saying. "So you're telling me you diagnosed the issue with my car just by listening to it?" Maya nodded. "Exactly. When I opened the hood, I didn't rely on manuals or diagnostic tools. I listened carefully to the engine and followed the melody it created. It told me exactly where the problem was, a tiny crack in one of the components that no one else noticed." The room fell silent as everyone absorbed her words. Some looked skeptical, while others seemed amazed. One mechanic stepped forward and asked, "But how is that possible? Engines are loud and chaotic. How can anyone make sense of all those sounds?" Maya smiled faintly. "It's not about hearing louder, it's about hearing differently. Most people focus on the big picture, but I zoom in on the details. Every engine has its own rhythm, its own song. If you listen closely enough, it will tell you everything you need to know." Her explanation left the crowd speechless. Even Grayson, who prided himself on knowing everything about cars, found himself at a loss for words. He had spent years surrounded by luxury vehicles, yet he had never considered the idea that an engine could sing. It was a concept so foreign, and yet so fascinating, that it challenged everything he thought he knew. Despite her newfound fame, Maya refused to let the attention change her. She continued working alongside her father, helping customers and teaching apprentices the basics of auto repair. However, her life was far from ordinary now. Reporters frequently visited the workshop, asking for interviews and photos. Mechanics from neighboring towns came to observe her techniques, hoping to learn from her methods. And Grayson, true to his word, offered her a lucrative position at his dealership multiple times, but Maya declined every offer. "This is where I belong," she told Grayson firmly during one of his visits. "I don't need fancy titles or big offices. All I want is to keep doing what I love, fixing cars and helping people." Grayson respected her decision, though it surprised him. In his world, success was measured by wealth and status. Yet here was Maya, rejecting both in favor of simplicity and authenticity. For the first time in his life, he began questioning his own values. Was there more to success than money and power? Inspired by Maya's humility and dedication, Grayson decided to take action. He announced plans to establish a scholarship program aimed at supporting underprivileged youth interested in pursuing careers in mechanics. The initiative would provide training, resources, and mentorship opportunities to aspiring technicians, especially women and minorities, who faced barriers similar to those Maya had overcome. When I met Maya, Grayson explained during the press conference announcing the program, I saw someone who defied every stereotype. She reminded me that greatness isn't defined by background or circumstances. It's about passion, perseverance, and believing in yourself. Through this scholarship, I hope to inspire others to follow in her footsteps. Meanwhile, Maya's secret ability became the stuff of legend. People began referring to her as the Engine Whisperer, a nickname she initially found amusing but eventually embraced. Strangers sought her out not only for repairs, but also for advice on how to pursue their dreams despite adversity. She welcomed them all with open arms, sharing her knowledge freely and encouraging them to trust their instincts. One day, a young girl named Lily visited the workshop with her mother. Lily was shy and hesitant, clutching a toy car tightly in her hands. "I want to be like you when I grow up," she whispered to Maya. "But my friends say girls can't fix cars." Maya knelt down to meet her eye level and smiled warmly. "Don't listen to them," she said gently. "You can do anything you set your mind to. If you love cars, then chase that dream with all your heart. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Lily's face lit up with determination, and her mother thanked Maya profusely. Moments like these reminded Maya why she had chosen to stay in her father's humble garage. Here, she wasn't just fixing engines. She was inspiring futures. As days turned into weeks, Maya's influence continued to grow. Mechanics from across the country traveled to the small town to witness her skills firsthand. Automotive companies invited her to collaborate on innovative projects. Yet, amidst all the chaos, Maya remained grounded. She understood that true greatness wasn't about proving others wrong. It was about staying true to oneself. Her story served as a powerful reminder that talent knows no boundaries. Whether it was her race, gender, or socioeconomic background, none of these factors diminished her abilities. Instead, they fueled her drive to excel and break barriers. And so, Maya returned to her work each day, her hands covered in grease and her heart full of purpose. The impossible engine had been just the beginning of her journey. Now, armed with her unique gift and unwavering determination, she was ready to tackle whatever challenges lay ahead. In the end, Maya proved that sometimes the most extraordinary achievements come from the simplest acts of courage and belief in oneself and in the power of dreams. Word of Maya's extraordinary talent spread far and wide, reaching places she had never imagined. What started as a local sensation soon became a national phenomenon. Articles about her appeared in newspapers and magazines, highlighting not only her incredible skill but also her inspiring journey from a mechanic's daughter to the engine whisperer. Social media buzzed with videos of her working on complex engines, showing how effortlessly she diagnosed problems that baffled even seasoned professionals. People began referring to her as a modern-day prodigy, someone who redefined what was possible in the world of mechanics. Despite all the attention, Maya stayed true to her roots. She woke up early every morning, just like always, to help her father open the garage. Together they brewed strong coffee, rolled up their sleeves, and got to work. For Maya, the workshop wasn't just a place of business. It was home. It was where she had learned everything she knew, where she had faced countless challenges, and where she had discovered her unique gift. No amount of fame or recognition could change that. But life in the spotlight brought new opportunities and new pressures. Reporters camped outside the workshop, hoping for an exclusive interview. Mechanics traveled from distant cities to observe her techniques. Even car manufacturers reached out, asking if she would consult on designing better engines. While Maya appreciated the interest, she found it overwhelming at times. The constant scrutiny made her question whether people truly valued her for her skills, or simply because she was different. One day, while Maya was working on a customer's sedan, Grayson showed up unexpectedly. This time, he didn't come with arrogance or sarcasm. Instead, he carried a folder filled with papers and wore an expression of genuine curiosity. "Maya," he said, pulling up a chair near her workbench. "I've been thinking a lot about what you told me, about listening to engines. I want to understand it better." Maya paused mid-task and raised an eyebrow. "Why the sudden interest?" Grayson hesitated before answering. "Because it's not just impressive, it's revolutionary. If we could teach others to listen the way you do, imagine the impact it could have on the industry. Engines would last longer, repairs would be faster, and fewer cars would end up in junkyards prematurely." Maya leaned back against the wall, considering his words. She had never thought about her ability in such broad terms. To her, it was simply a tool, a way to solve problems. But Grayson's vision painted a much bigger picture. "You're talking about changing the entire field of automotive repair," she said slowly. "Exactly," Grayson replied. "And I think you're the person to lead that change." For a moment, Maya felt torn. On one hand, the idea of revolutionizing the industry excited her. She had always dreamed of making a difference, of leaving a mark on the world. On the other hand, she worried about stepping into unfamiliar territory. Could she handle the responsibility? Would people listen to her, or would they dismiss her ideas because of her age and background? Her father, who had been quietly observing the conversation, stepped forward. "Maya," he said gently, "you've spent your whole life proving people wrong. Why stop now?" His words struck a chord deep within her. Mr. Johnson had always believed in her even when no one else did. With his support, she realized she didn't have to face this challenge alone. Taking a deep breath, she turned to Grayson and nodded. "All right," she said firmly. "Let's do it." Over the next few weeks, Maya collaborated closely with Grayson to develop a training program based on her methods. They called it the Engine Symphony Initiative, a nod to her belief that every engine had its own rhythm and melody. The program focused on teaching mechanics to tune into the subtle sounds and patterns of engines, using both traditional techniques and innovative tools designed to enhance auditory perception. At first, skepticism ran high among participants. Many doubted whether Maya's approach could be taught or replicated. "It's not something you can learn overnight," Maya admitted during the first session. "Listening isn't just about hearing, it's about understanding. You have to train your mind to focus on details most people overlook." To demonstrate, she invited volunteers to bring in their problematic vehicles. As she worked on each car, she explained her thought process step by step, encouraging others to follow along. Slowly but surely, the participants began to grasp the concept. Some struggled initially, while others caught on quickly. By the end of the program, nearly everyone reported improvements in their diagnostic abilities. One participant, a middle-aged mechanic named Tom, summed it up perfectly. "Before, I used to rely solely on manuals and machines. Now, I find myself listening more to the car, to my instincts. It's like I'm seeing things I never noticed before." As the initiative gained momentum, so did Maya's reputation. Invitations poured in from universities, tech companies, and engineering firms eager to hear her speak. At first, Maya hesitated to accept these offers, fearing she might lose sight of her original purpose. But after much deliberation, she decided to share her story on larger platforms, hoping to inspire others to pursue their passions despite obstacles. Her speeches resonated deeply with audiences, whether addressing students in lecture halls or professionals at industry conferences. Maya spoke candidly about her struggles and triumphs. "People often underestimate you," she told a crowd at a major automotive expo. "They'll tell you you're too young, too inexperienced, or too different to succeed. Don't let them define you. Your worth isn't determined by what others see. It's defined by what you believe you can achieve." Her message struck a nerve, particularly among women and minorities who had faced similar barriers. Letters and emails flooded in from individuals thanking her for giving them hope. One woman wrote, "Your story reminded me that I don't have to fit into anyone else's mold to be successful. Thank you for showing us that greatness comes in all forms." Back in her hometown, Maya continued mentoring aspiring mechanics through Grayson's scholarship program. She took special care to guide young women and girls, knowing firsthand how challenging it could be to break into a male-dominated field. "Never let anyone make you feel small," she often told them. "If you love what you do, fight for it, and remember, you're stronger than you think." Among her protégés was Lily, the shy girl who had once visited the workshop clutching a toy car. Under Maya's guidance, Lily blossomed into a confident apprentice, eagerly learning the intricacies of auto repair. Watching her progress filled Maya with pride, reminding her why she had chosen this path in the first place. Despite her growing influence, Maya remained humble. She rejected offers to move to bigger cities or join prestigious organizations, preferring instead to stay in the familiar surroundings of her father's garage. "This is where my journey began," she told Grayson during one of their meetings, "and this is where I'll stay, at least for now." Grayson smiled knowingly. "You're wise beyond your years, Maya. Most people would jump at the chance to chase fame and fortune, but you're content with doing what matters most." Maya nodded. "Success isn't about titles or money. It's about making a difference in your own life and in the lives of others. That's what keeps me going." As months passed, Maya's impact continued to ripple outward. Her methods transformed the way mechanics approach their work, leading to faster repairs and longer-lasting engines. The scholarship program expanded, providing opportunities to hundreds of underprivileged youth across the country. And her story inspired countless individuals to pursue their dreams, regardless of the odds stacked against them. Through it all, Maya remained grounded, her hands still covered in grease, and her heart full of purpose. She understood that true greatness wasn't about achieving perfection. It was about embracing imperfections and turning them into strengths. Whether fixing an impossible engine or mentoring the next generation of mechanics, Maya proved that sometimes the simplest acts of courage could spark the most extraordinary changes. In the end, Maya's journey was more than just a tale of talent and determination. It was a testament to the power of believing in oneself and in the limitless potential of human creativity. As the months rolled by, Maya's influence continued to grow, touching lives in ways she had never anticipated. The Engine Symphony Initiative, which started as a small training program in her father's garage, had blossomed into a nationwide movement. Mechanics from all corners of the country were adopting her techniques, and workshops inspired by her methods began popping up in cities and towns alike. What was once considered an impossible feat, fixing Grayson's luxury sports car, had now become the foundation for a revolution in automotive repair. Despite her rising fame, Maya remained deeply connected to her roots. Every morning, she still brewed strong coffee with her father before diving into work at the workshop. The garage buzzed with activity, not just from customers but also from apprentices eager to learn under her guidance. These young mechanics came from diverse backgrounds. Some were fresh out of high school, while others had been working in the field for years but wanted to refine their skills. Regardless of their experience levels, Maya treated them all equally, sharing her knowledge generously and encouraging them to trust their instincts. One day, as Maya worked on a particularly stubborn engine, a new face appeared at the workshop. It was a teenage boy named Daniel, who looked nervous and out of place. He clutched a crumpled flyer advertising the scholarship program and hesitated before approaching her. "Excuse me," he said softly. "Is this where I can apply?" Maya wiped her hands on a rag and smiled warmly. "Yes, it is. Come on in." She led him to a corner of the garage where a makeshift desk held stacks of applications and brochures. "Tell me about yourself," she said, sitting down beside him. Daniel explained that he lived in a nearby town and had always been fascinated by cars. His family couldn't afford to send him to a technical school, so he spent his free time watching YouTube tutorials and tinkering with old vehicles in his backyard. "I want to be a mechanic," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. "But everyone tells me I'll never make it because I don't have fancy tools or training." Maya listened intently, recognizing the same doubts and fears she had faced in her own journey. "Let me tell you something," she said gently. "Tools and training are important, but they're not everything. What matters most is your passion and willingness to learn. If you truly love what you do, you'll find a way to succeed." Her words gave Daniel hope, and he left the workshop feeling inspired. Over the following weeks, he became a regular visitor, observing Maya's work and practicing on spare parts under her supervision. Like Lily before him, Daniel flourished under her mentorship, proving that talent could thrive even in the absence of privilege. Meanwhile, Grayson's involvement in Maya's initiatives took an unexpected turn. Initially motivated by curiosity and admiration for her abilities, he found himself profoundly impacted by her philosophy. For years, he had built his empire on profit margins and market dominance, often dismissing those who didn't meet his standards. But witnessing Maya's humility and dedication challenged his worldview. One evening, after a long day of meetings, Grayson visited the workshop unannounced. Maya was alone, organizing tools and cleaning up the space. Seeing him, she raised an eyebrow. "What brings you here so late?" Grayson sighed, pulling up a stool. "I've been doing a lot of thinking lately," he admitted, "about my business, my priorities, even my life. You've taught me that success isn't just about money or status. It's about making a difference in people's lives and in the world." Maya nodded thoughtfully. "That's something I learned from my dad. He always said, 'A job well done is its own reward.'" Grayson chuckled. "Your father sounds like a wise man. Maybe I should take some lessons from him too." After a pause, he added, "Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about expanding the scholarship program. Right now, it's helping hundreds of kids across the country. But what if we made it global? Imagine reaching aspiring mechanics in developing countries, giving them access to education and resources they wouldn't otherwise have. Maya's eyes widened in surprise. Global? That's ambitious. It's possible, Grayson insisted. With your expertise and my resources, we could create something truly transformative. We'd need partners, sponsors, and a solid plan, but I believe it's worth pursuing. The idea excited Maya, though it also intimidated her. Taking the initiative global meant stepping far outside her comfort zone, yet she knew she couldn't pass up the opportunity to help more people. With Grayson's support, she agreed to explore the possibility. Over the next few months, Maya and Grayson worked tirelessly to lay the groundwork for the expanded program. They traveled to conferences, met with potential sponsors, and collaborated with international organizations focused on vocational training. Along the way, Maya shared her story with audiences around the world, inspiring countless individuals to pursue careers in mechanics despite societal barriers. Her speeches resonated deeply, especially with women and minorities who had long been excluded from the field. At one event in India, a young woman named Priya approached her after the presentation. "In my village, girls aren't allowed to study engineering or work with machines," Priya said. "But hearing your story gives me courage to dream bigger." Maya hugged her tightly. "Dreams are powerful things, Priya. Don't let anyone take yours away." Back home, the workshop became a hub of innovation. Maya introduced cutting-edge technologies alongside traditional methods, teaching her apprentices how to adapt to changing industry trends. She emphasized the importance of sustainability, showing them how to recycle parts and reduce waste. "We're not just fixing cars," she reminded them. "We're shaping the future." Her efforts earned recognition beyond the automotive world. Environmental groups praised her commitment to eco-friendly practices, while educational institutions lauded her contributions to vocational training. Awards and accolades poured in, but Maya accepted them with characteristic humility. "This isn't about me," she often said. "It's about all of us working together to build something better." Despite her busy schedule, Maya never lost sight of what mattered most: her family and community. On weekends, she joined her father for fishing trips, enjoying rare moments of peace away from the hustle and bustle of work. Together, they reflected on how far they'd come since the early days of the workshop. "Never thought our little garage would change the world," Mr. Johnson joked one afternoon, casting his line into the river. Maya laughed. "Neither did I. But I guess that's the beauty of life. You never know where your dreams will take you." As the year drew to a close, Maya stood outside the workshop, gazing at the setting sun. The road ahead was uncertain, filled with challenges and opportunities alike. But she felt ready. Through hard work, resilience, and unwavering belief in herself, she had overcome every obstacle thrown her way, and she knew that no matter what happened, she would continue to inspire others to chase their dreams. In the end, Maya's story wasn't just about fixing engines. It was about breaking barriers, challenging stereotypes, and proving that greatness knows no limits. Whether through her hands-on work in the garage or her global efforts to empower aspiring mechanics, she showed the world that true success lies not in titles or wealth, but in the positive impact we leave behind. And as she walked back inside, ready to tackle whatever tomorrow might bring, Maya carried with her a simple yet profound truth. Sometimes the smallest voices can spark the biggest changes. The years passed quickly, and Maya's legacy continued to grow. What had begun as a humble mechanics workshop in a small town had transformed into a global movement that inspired thousands. The Engine Symphony Initiative, which combined her unique gift of listening to engines with innovative teaching methods, became a beacon of hope for aspiring mechanics worldwide. From bustling cities to remote villages, people embraced her philosophy of perseverance, creativity, and inclusivity. Maya herself remained the heart and soul of the initiative. While others might have sought fame or fortune, she stayed true to her values, choosing instead to focus on making a difference in the lives of those around her. Her hands were still calloused from years of working with tools, but her spirit burned brighter than ever. She believed deeply in the power of mentorship and often reminded her apprentices, "Success isn't measured by how high you climb. It's about lifting others up as you go." One crisp autumn morning, Maya received an unexpected letter. It was addressed simply to Maya Johnson, the engine whisperer. Curious, she opened it carefully. Inside was an invitation to speak at a prestigious international conference on innovation and technology. The organizers praised her work, calling her a pioneer who has redefined what is possible in the automotive industry. They wanted her to share her story with a global audience, including engineers, scientists, and entrepreneurs. At first, Maya hesitated. Public speaking had never been her strong suit, and the thought of addressing such a large crowd made her nervous. But then she remembered why she had started this journey, to inspire others to believe in themselves. If sharing her story could encourage even one person to pursue their dreams, it would be worth it. With Grayson's encouragement, she accepted the invitation. For weeks leading up to the event, she prepared tirelessly, crafting a speech that was both personal and universal. She practiced late into the nights, rehearsing in front of her father and a few trusted friends. Finally, the day arrived, and Maya stood backstage, her heart pounding as she listened to the host introduce her. "Ladies and gentlemen," the host announced, "please welcome Maya Johnson, the woman who taught us that every engine has a song, and that listening is the key to solving the impossible." As Maya stepped onto the stage, the audience erupted into applause. Nervous but determined, she took a deep breath and began to speak. "When I was a child," she said, her voice steady despite her nerves, "people told me I didn't belong in the world of mechanics. They said I was too young, too inexperienced, too different. But my father taught me something important. He said, 'Your worth isn't defined by what others see. It's defined by what you believe you can achieve.'" She went on to describe her journey, from fixing her first car to tackling Grayson's seemingly unsolvable engine. She spoke candidly about the challenges she faced, racism, sexism, and self-doubt, but also about the moments of triumph that kept her going. By the time she finished, tears glistened in the eyes of many attendees, and the room erupted into a standing ovation. Afterward, dozens of people lined up to meet her, eager to thank her for her inspiring words. Among them was a young engineer, named Elena, who introduced herself shyly. "I've always loved building things," Elena said, "but I've struggled to find my place in this field. Hearing your story makes me feel like maybe I can belong here too." Maya smiled warmly. "You absolutely can. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Meanwhile, back home, the scholarship program reached new heights. With Grayson's financial backing and Maya's leadership, they expanded their reach to include not only aspiring mechanics, but also engineers, designers, and innovators. Workshops sprang up in countries across Africa, Asia, and South America, providing training and resources to communities that desperately needed them. Many participants returned to their hometowns armed with new skills, opening their own garages and creating jobs for others. In one particularly touching moment, Maya received a video message from a former student named Kwame, who had grown up in a rural village in Ghana. In the video, Kwame proudly showed off his newly opened auto repair shop, complete with posters of Maya hanging on the walls. "Because of you," he said, choking up slightly, "I'm able to provide for my family and help my community. Thank you for believing in me when no one else did." Tears streamed down Maya's face as she watched the video. Moments like these reminded her why she had chosen this path, to give others the same opportunities she had been given. Despite her success, Maya refused to let herself become complacent. She knew there was still so much work to be done. One of her biggest goals was to promote sustainability within the automotive industry. Concerned about the environmental impact of discarded cars and parts, she partnered with researchers to develop eco-friendly alternatives. Together, they created recyclable components and energy-efficient designs that reduced waste and lowered carbon emissions. Her efforts earned widespread acclaim, with environmental groups hailing her as a trailblazer. Yet, Maya remained humble. deflecting praise onto her team. Change doesn't happen because of one person, she often said. It happens when we all come together and work toward a common goal. On a quiet winter evening, Maya sat beside her father in their cozy living room sipping hot cocoa. The fire crackled softly in the background as they reflected on everything they had accomplished together. "Never thought our little garage would change the world," Mr. Johnson mused, shaking his head in wonder. Maya grinned. "Neither did I. But I guess sometimes the smallest sparks create the biggest flames." Her father chuckled. "You've done good, kiddo. Real good." Though proud of her achievements, Maya knew her journey was far from over. There were still barriers to break, innovations to explore, and lives to touch. As long as there were people willing to dream and work hard, she vowed to stand beside them, offering guidance and support. Years later, when Maya looked back on her life, she realized that her greatest accomplishment wasn't the awards or recognition. It was the ripple effect of her actions. Every apprentice she mentored, every student she inspired, and every community she helped had carried her vision forward, creating a chain reaction of positive change. And so, Maya continued, doing what she loved most, fixing engines, mentoring the next generation, and reminding everyone she met that greatness comes in all forms. Whether through the hum of a finely tuned engine or the laughter of a child learning to tinker with tools, Maya proved that the simplest acts of courage and kindness could leave the most lasting impressions. In the end, her story served as a timeless reminder. No matter where you come from or what obstacles you face, you have the power to shape your destiny, and perhaps even the world.